Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, you're in the right spot. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you'll get all things DutyRon and this guy over here, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. And tonight, hey, we're gonna talk to you about week one of the Adam Montgomery trial. Kayla Montgomery gave shocking details of the murder of Harmony Montgomery. And I don't know, folks, Ed and I, we've been talking about this on and off all day long, and it was shocking for us to hear this. This is a horrific crime that took place, and the two of them, and Kayla is the star witness for the prosecution, but after what we heard today, she is just as evil and demonic as this guy, Adam Montgomery. What's your thoughts on that, Ed?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Toting a dead body around like the way they did from location to location, keeping them in the trunk of the car, then putting them out in snowbanks, in between dumpsters, and then in coolers, and in bags, and in the ceilings. It's just unbelievable. And now I've had many cases similar. I had babies that were stored in tote bins and hidden in closets, and I've had few cases like that. We got dismemberments that have been in refrigerators for years. We had a couple cases just recently, two of them in about 3-week period of dismembered body parts being stored in refrigerators and freezers in apartments here in New York. But I mean, to live like this, knowing what you did, and then toting this dead child around.
Yeah, takes the cake. This one takes the cake. And I got to tell you, no matter how much experience we have with dealing with crime scenes, when it comes to a child, this is, Harmony Montgomery, 5 years young. She's a baby. It just makes it just compounds the whole thing. It makes it just so much more horrific, Ed. And I know you agree with me on that.
100%.
Got to say, want to say thank you to the Patreon supporters, the replay viewers, the channel members, the moderators, and everybody who leaves us comments down below in the comment section and in the live chat. We're going to ask that tonight towards the later part of the show, towards the end, to use the hashtag DutyRon, hashtag Ed, and hashtag Heather. Heather is our retired DCYF equivalent. She worked quite a long time in the field that we want to speak about. We all want to have, a little bit of clarification of how the system works. And, it's just such a gray area, and we know that the system is broke. But let's play just a little piece for them, Ed, so this way you can get up to speed what was going on with the trial. This is from today, and it gives you a pretty good overview of the courtroom drama that was going on between the prosecutor and the defense. And I don't mean drama. I just mean they were trying to really just corner Kayla, and the defense was really trying to show that she's lying, and she lied before, and she lied to the grand jury. And this is just part of the defense, as they want to show that she is not trustworthy, and that her testimony that she gave is less than honest. So that's just part of the defense. So don't get tricked by it. Let's just take a peek, and we'll be back to you in a minute.
And now to the extremely tough testimony in the trial for the New Hampshire father accused of killing his 5-year-old daughter, Harmony. Today, the little girl's stepmother took the stand and described the child's final moments alive. But WBZ's Christina Rex tells us her credibility is being questioned.
Nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Is Kayla Montgomery telling the truth? That answer seems to be the deciding factor in whether or not a jury will convict Kayla's estranged husband, Adam, of killing his 5-year-old daughter, Harmony, back in 2019.
Do you understand the consequences of providing false testimony?
Yes. Kayla's in jail now for perjury after lying to a grand jury as part of this investigation. The state says she's the only adult to witness Adam beat Harmony to death in the car the family lived in, all over a bathroom accident.
And put her in the duffel bag
For 3 months, Kayla says Adam kept Harmony's body in a bag wherever they went. At one point, she helped him cut clothes off the body before he allegedly stuffed it into a small tote and disposed of it.
You lied more than once? Yes.
But is any of that true? The defense spent all afternoon poking holes in Kayla's credibility.
That was a lie.
Yes.
That was a lie that protected you, and that was a lie.
Yes.
So you went to the police station to do the right thing, which was to lie.
So who will the jury believe? The prosecution, who says Kayla was a battered woman terrified of being killed by Adam if she came clean? Or the defense, who says Kayla's a liar, pinning everything on Adam so she can get out of jail?
Kayla, did you kill Harmony?
No, I did not.
Did you beat her to death?
No, I did not.
And the defendant, Adam Montgomery, again chose not to be in court today. Now, Kayla will be back on Monday to continue testifying. Part of that reason is because testimony wrapped up early today when she got a headache on the stand. In Manchester, Christina Rex, WBZ News.
So that was a pretty good overview of some of the events that took place today. But we also have day two to talk about. We covered day 2 live today. Day 3, there was a lot that went on. I believe that Kayla did hammer home that Adam Montgomery was the enforcer. She did a decent job of it today, but when the defense got a hold of her, she came up with this, I think 15 minutes into the 30-minute cross-examination from the defense. She came up with a headache. She was holding her head. She was grimacing. You could see. Ed, I asked you before we went live what you thought about that, and what was your take on her credibility for the prosecution and after the defense got a hold of her, Ed?
Okay, well, her direct testimony for the prosecutor was very believable in my book. And at the end, he kind of drove the stake home with her because she knows that this deal is dependent on her being truthful, and that all the other charges that they were waiving would fall on her like a ton of bricks if she gets caught in a lie here. Okay, so and then she'll be in for a very long time. Now she's scheduled to get out very shortly if she doesn't perjure herself here. So, and she wants to get out for her remaining children and so forth. And she seems to have cleaned herself up a bit. Then the defense comes in, and you want to talk about beating a dead horse. The defense was so redundant. You lied, you lied, you lied, you lied. Yeah, we all know that. And the prosecutor brought all of that out in his direct examination of her. But I mean, she just went through every lie that she had told prior to this testimony today, every lie she told in the grand jury, every lie that she was held accountable for, with her being found guilty of perjury and sentencing and so forth. There comes a point where, that she should have stopped, but she didn't. She just kept going on, and she's still going to go on when she comes back on the stand. Okay. It still doesn't change the fact, okay, that, we have evidence that supports what she said. We got Adam's fingerprints. We got the body fluids on the sheetrock hidden in the ceiling of the shelter. We have all these things, all right, that are supported. And we got the fact that Adam's uncle dropped a dime on him to child services for what he did, giving her the black eye initially. Okay. And I think the defense attorney should just, stop her cross-examination at this point, because if I was on a jury, I'd be getting pissed. I said, like, you made your point already. All right. We know she lied. We know she lies.
In the past.
Okay? Yeah. In the past.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, you're not touching anything that came out in the cross-examination. You're not showing that anything she said in the cross-examination is a lie.
Right. Now, I just did a poll, and I agree wholeheartedly with you, Ed. I just did a poll quickly, and based on what I put out there, I asked people, do you feel that Kayla Montgomery's testimony was believable? And I said, press 1 if you do believe it was believable, press 2. I think it was around 80% press 1 and 20% felt she was not being honest. There's there's the component here of her, as we talked about before we went live, there's the component about Kayla saving her ass, right? She doesn't want to spend the rest of her life in jail, in prison. She doesn't want to, and she wants to be able to get out to be around her kids again. And I personally, and let me know if I'm overstepping here, folks in the chat, but I personally wouldn't want her around any, not her own kids, but any children ever for the rest of her natural born life because of the decision that she made to, I understand the battered woman syndrome. I understand from being a law enforcement professional, we've handled thousands of domestic violence calls and we know what happens. But my thing is that there was so many opportunities. There was so many opportunities to come forward and save Harmony Montgomery's life before it got out of hand to the point where Adam bashed her skull in. And that's basically what happened.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, this is a sad state of affairs. This is what happens when uneducated, drugs, early pregnancies, out of wedlock, things like this. Okay. I mean, the drugs were huge here. I mean, everybody here is doing drugs. I mean, Jesus, they went to a methadone clinic, right? So they're getting their methadone and they're out in the car, living out of the car, getting their methadone. And then they go and score heroin. Okay.
Yeah.
And they got high after they killed the child.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
that just cancels out your meth, the dose. When you go and take your methadone, it's so you're not doing heroin. But I know how this goes because I've been around a lot of folks who are addicted to heroin, and the methadone clinics, is something that they have to do first thing in the morning, otherwise they'll get sick. So that was the first order of business, and then boom, straight to Burger King, then getting high again.
But they murdered the kid right outside the methadone clinic.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
I wanted to clear up something because there's still a lot of our friends, a lot of the community, a lot of people I see in Law and Crime and Court TV's chat. And I do visit those chats and I say hello to everybody. So shout out to everyone who's joining that was in the Court TV or Law and Crime. If you guys seen me in there, let me know in the chat and say, hey, DutyRon, hi, I've seen you in the chat. I try to educate, I try to communicate with people, but everybody is still caught up on why Adam Montgomery is a no-show. He's MIA. He's not in the court. It's not going to help his case, folks, but let's take a listen to what an attorney's take is on this, and then we're going to bring our next guest on, Heather. She's hanging out in the green room. She's just chomping at the bit. She's ready to come on, but we're going to bring her on in a minute. And then before we do that, Ed, we'll get to what we talked about. So here's the piece about Adam Montgomery and why he's not in the courtroom.
Well, Amy, a defendant does not have to be in the courtroom for their trial. They have every right to waive their appearance, but legal experts say this is a very highly unusual move.
Be seated.
Adam Montgomery missing the second day of his murder trial after waiving his right to appear on Friday.
Defendants are not required to attend the trial.
The 34-year-old has only appeared in person once this week, Tuesday, for jury selection. The following day, while the jury was out of the courtroom, Montgomery appeared via video from the House of Corrections, where he is currently serving time for unrelated weapons charges. Court documents show he refused transport because he was upset about being strip searched.
Obviously, the sheriff's deputies, the jail would not force anybody against their will to appear.
Montgomery also did not appear for witness testimony yesterday and today. The court has sealed his transportation orders for those days, so it's unclear as to exactly why he is refusing to show.
It could be maybe the defense attorneys themselves suggested it.
LaFrance says there is a chance Montgomery makes an appearance, even possibly taking the stand.
Looking at the facts that were presented, not facts, but the statement that was made by the defense attorneys in their opening statement, some of what they were saying, it seems to me again that he would need to testify. There's a lot of information there that can't come from anybody else except Adam Montgomery.
Now I want to stop it right there, because if Adam Montgomery takes the stand, that would be epic, and I think that would sink him because of the attitude that he has and his cockiness. I don't think he would help himself.
I think he has to. I think he has to stand because the defense attorney hasn't touched any of this witness's testimony today about what Adam did.
Right.
All she keeps doing is saying, "You're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar," but didn't touch any of the stuff that came out in her direct testimony as being a lie.
Right.
Okay. So he's going to have to take the stand to refute this, unless they're going to pull a rabbit out of the hat and some witness is going to come forward and say something different.
Right. Let's talk about day 2, which was yesterday. You and I covered the morning you were driving home from, you were in a Uber going home from JFK. Crystal Story, Harmony Montgomery's biological mother, took the stand. We heard some, real emotional testimony from her about her daughter being potty trained at 2, and a bunch of relevant information as it pertains to Harmony Montgomery. But when we heard from Kevin Montgomery, the uncle, Adam's uncle, that's Adam's father's brother. He was asked, "What is your relationship to Adam Montgomery?" And he said, "That's my oldest brother's son." So Kevin Montgomery took the stand yesterday, and his testimony was emotional. It was, to me, highly believable, because I'm basing it on what he did in this interview with News Nation some 2 years ago. If those of you who are following this case closely, Kevin Montgomery was standing with an umbrella in the pouring rain, and he gave an interview. I don't remember who it was from News Nation that was interviewing him. It might have been Brian Enton. It was almost identical, because I went back and I matched it up to what he testified to today, and it was identical. But what he told the jury is that Adam Montgomery told him, "I bashed her around this fucking house." Those are his words. And when he said that, he didn't just say it, he said it and started getting choked up. So I thought he was very credible as a witness. Granted, he's got a background. I think everybody in that whole family, as you said, Ed, has a drug history. But when Kevin took the stand, he showed the most emotion, I feel, out of everybody, because at some points he wasn't even able to talk.
Yeah, no, it was tough. It was a little tough testimony to go through, but he was definitely credible in my book. And in addition, he's the one that dropped a dime on his nephew.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they asked him, "Do you want to be here?" He said no, but he got subpoenaed and he was there.
Albeit he did it anonymously, but he did it. He took the initiative. Like, we tell people, if you see something, say something. He saw that, and even though he, I think he did time twice, for various crimes. He knew this was beyond the pale, and you don't beat a child like this. And he called child services on his nephew.
Yeah, and listen, we're going to hear from a DCYF, former DCYF, social worker that went out and responded to this thing.
Please don't call him a DCYF, because he's an embarrassment. All right, and he's got blood on his hands. He's going to have to answer for this.
I agree, Ed. Let's get to this. What you want to show? Happy Chinese New Year, right? Year of the Dragon.
Year of the Dragon, yes, and Gong Hei Fa Choi, as we say in Cantonese, for those of you who celebrate Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year. So today, my wife and I, before the show, we went over to our friend Jamie's house and celebrated a traditional Chinese New Year dinner with her family, and I got to meet some of the family here, and I just want to share a little bit of this. And I told them I was going to give them a little shout out here, and you're going to see myself. Okay, can everybody see that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's Mason, Tracy. The parakeet is Lucky, and Lucky didn't leave a nice present on my shoulder like he did to Harvey, Hilton rather. And Harvey, that's Hilton and Harvey there. And Mason's in the glasses. He's the owner of the Parakeet. And that's the lovely Tracy.
Great picture. And it was just tonight, right, Ed?
Yeah, just a few hours ago.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Uh-huh.
What a great family. I love it. I love it, Ed.
All right.
So let's get back to business here. So I want to show just a little bit of Kevin Montgomery's testimony from yesterday, and then we're going to get right to the DCYF. I know you don't want to call him that, but we're going to have to call him former DCYF worker. But let's just take a listen to Adam Montgomery's uncle, Kevin.
Did you fly into Manchester or into Boston or somewhere else?
Boston, Logan.
Okay.
Just take note of his
Did you come back
face.
to Manchester that same day after you got off?
I just want you guys to just take note of his body language and his facial expressions when the prosecutor asks him some tough questions. And I'm only going to play a couple of minutes of this because we got to get to our guest. She's anxiously waiting. We got a lot to talk about here.
The flight.
I did.
Okay. And did you go to visit 77 Guilford Street? Did you go home?
I did.
Let me ask you, when you got home, did you see Harmony there?
I did.
Where did you see her?
I seen her standing in the kitchen.
And when you saw her in the kitchen, how did she look to you?
She had a black eye.
Can you describe it for us? How did the black eye look?
Full, like a raccoon's eye, black and blue.
Black and blue?
Yes.
And when you say full, what do you mean by full? Can you give us a good
All the
example?
way around.
All the way around. And I see just there you were pointing to your right eye. Did you see it on her right eye?
I honestly can't recall, but I think the left.
Okay. You think the left. Okay. I appreciate that for your honesty there. You said you saw her in the kitchen with this black eye?
Yes.
Okay. So when you saw her in the kitchen with this black eye, what, if anything, did you say?
You could see how upset he is.
It's okay. Take your time.
He's reliving this whole thing.
Yeah, it's like he's got post-traumatic stress disorder.
Along the words of, oh my fucking God, what did you do, Harmony?
And who answered that question?
My nephew, Adam,
Where was he?
standing right behind her.
And what did Adam say?
She didn't do anything. I bashed her around the fucking house.
Did Harmony ever say anything in the response to the question, or just Adam saying, I bashed her around the fucking house?
I think just Adam.
How did Adam say this?
He misunderstands what he's asking him here.
How did he say it?
Yes.
He calls him arrogant, but he was really asking him to repeat exactly what Adam
Well, let's put
said.
it this way. Can you say it the way that he said it so that we understand?
I'm not sure. He said he was in the bathroom moving his bowels and that he put Harmony in charge to watch Declan. And when he came out, Harmony had her hands over his mouth, and I guess his lips were supposedly below. That's what was explained.
That's what Adam explained to you?
Correct.
And after he explained that, how did he say he caused the black eye?
I bashed her around the fucking house.
Was there anybody else in the kitchen?
All right, I'm going to stop it there, Ed. He went on to tell the prosecutor that he called. The prosecutor asked him, "Who did you notify, if anyone?" He went down a whole list of his family, a few of Adam's friends, the biological mom, and he also said DCYF. So he made the notification. I highlighted one of the questions in the chat is people said, well, why didn't he call the police right then and there? I mean, that's a question we can't answer. That's a question it's a valid question. Like, why did everybody that he notified, did not one of those people said, oh, Adam's beating the fuck out of Harmony. Why? Maybe we should call the police. But everybody was scared of him. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. What's your thoughts on that, Ed?
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody called the police, and especially after the uncle notified them. So, there's plenty of blame to go around. But like you said, this guy was known to have a gun. He's known to be violent. Okay. And people are afraid of him.
Right.
So and also this, it's family. And I think it took a lot of guts for the uncle to do what he did. Even though, it wasn't calling 911, but he did call, he did call child services and expected them to come out and do their job, and they failed.
Yeah, agreed. Hey, friends, so this is the second half of our show. We're into the 30-minute mark. I want to bring on, I'm going to give her a thumbs up because I'm going to bring her on, Heather. She is, again, going to be joining us because she has extensive experience in this field. We are going to watch the testimony from the former DCYF worker. He gave his testimony. It was short. There was no cross-examination. And Ed, that was another thing I wanted to talk to you about. Very little cross-examination by the defense of any of these witnesses. They brought on his girlfriends that he met in when he was in a drug rehab, the dark-haired girlfriend. They brought on his friends. They brought on people. And when they asked for cross, they didn't give any cross, and including this worker.
Yeah, the trial is moving at a record pace, man. You want to compare this to the Triconas case, man. This trial is flying. This is their key witnesses on today. This is only day 3, and going to come back sometime next week, maybe Monday, and finish up the testimony there. I'm sure there's going to be some redirect.
Exactly.
So I mean, what's you're gonna get the forensic people come in. You're gonna get the FBI. You're gonna get the people that tested the sheetrock with the body fluids on it and so forth. Hopefully, you get the plumber, and the plumber may have some good information about what happened with the drain being clogged.
Will there be any of the personnel from the Union Street search warrant, FBI?
Whoever collected the latent fingerprints, whoever took the refrigerator, whoever pulled up. If there's additional forensic evidence on any of the things they seized at that apartment, you're going to have those people come on, and then you're going to have the lab people come on and talk about the results.
Let's acknowledge some of the new members. Beverly, thank you for becoming a member. Vicky, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Kim McDonald, always great to see new members. Thank you to all who are new. Barbara George, member for almost a year. She says the best true crime channel, the best of the best. We appreciate you. Thank you. It's the best because you're here and we have the great community. You guys are fantastic. Wanderlust sends in a $5 super chat and she says, you both do a great job with reporting truth and the facts. Thank you so much. It's coming from our experience as investigators, and this is what you get here. There's no fluff. We do not create things that aren't there. We talk about what's right in front of us. Shelley, thank you for the $7.99. She says, what a coward not appearing in the courtroom. We agree. We agree. Retired Sergeant, AH, Sarge, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate it. Good friend. Family. She's family. All right, let's bring her on. Heather, you ready? You get the thumbs up from Heather? Heather, retired DCYF. I'll call her that. That's probably not where she came from, but Heather, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're taking out your time is really so valuable to our audience, and you've been on with me to discuss this case some 2 years ago. So thank you for coming back.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
Could you tell the audience a little bit about your experience slowly and in a condensed version?
Yes, I worked as a child protective investigator from 2011 to 2014, and then I worked for a privatized company in child welfare.
Okay, so you have extensive experience as it pertains to this, but you also have some great knowledge from a former DCYF worker from New Hampshire.
Yes, sir.
We'll just call her Kathy. So Kathy, you spoke with her many hours in the past, and you also got an opportunity to speak to her today. Yes. As it pertains, Heather, to this DCYF worker, and I'm going to put him on the screen. I know he gets a lot of us angry. What was your take on his testimony? And I just want to get your personal thoughts. Again, this is going to be your personal thoughts to what this guy had to say, and some of your. I know you take a lot of notes. So, what was your thoughts on this guy?
He seemed pretty arrogant. This is just personal opinion. Okay, I'm not saying this is how he felt, but he seemed like he didn't really want to be there, and not saying that this means something about him as a person, but he went from child welfare to being a U.S. postal worker. So, I don't know what his reason was for getting out of it. Some concerning things that he said was obviously the first thing. When he showed up to the house, he saw who he knew was Adam and let them leave. He didn't approach them. He didn't call law enforcement and have them pulled over. He from his testimony, from what I understood, it appeared that he just called him later from the office. That was my first.
Yeah, and it was some 7 days later, I believe August 7th, I want to say. Mm-hmm. So he saw them out in front of the location August 1st, and August 7th, he made face-to-face contact. Let's take a listen to what his testimony was, because it's short, and I'll fast forward when need be.
Was employed as a CPSW, a child protective service worker with the state of New Hampshire for DCYF.
And that acronym that you just gave, CPSW, can you tell the jurors what that means?
Yes, child protective service worker.
How long did you work for DCYF?
Approximately 10 years.
A decade.
And in your capacity as a caseworker for DCYF, did you have occasion to interact with someone named Adam Montgomery?
I did.
And calling your attention specifically to 2019, the summer of 2019, did you receive a report regarding Adam Montgomery?
I did.
Are you aware of whether or not he had children?
Not when I first received the report.
Was the report regarding one of his children?
Yes.
Which child was that?
Specifically, it was Harmony.
Harmony Montgomery.
I'm sorry, Harmony Montgomery.
And was that report regarding an injury to Harmony Montgomery?
Yes.
Do you know who made that initial report?
I do not. It was anonymous.
Do you remember specifically when that report was made?
It was July of 2019, towards the end of the month. Specifically, it was either the 19th or the 29th.
Would looking at your report refresh your recollection?
Yes.
So showing the witness face, 2082. And what did you do after your involvement on that call began?
I apologize. Could you be more specific?
So you got a report. What did you do after you received that report?
When I received the report, I initiated trying to make contact with the family in order to see them, see the family, see the children, ascertain safety.
And is that generally what you do, or is that what you did in this specific case?
Generally, that was the standard practice.
In this specific case, though, what did you do?
Specifically, tried to initiate contact. I ended up going out to the listed address in an effort to see the family.
Do you recall what that address was?
I believe it was 77 Guilford Street or Guilford Ave.
Tell us about that trip out to the 77 Guilford Street or Ave.
So I drove to the location, and as I pulled up, the location, I noticed a person who I recognized as Adam Montgomery getting into a car.
And let me stop you there.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Shantae Marie said, "You all don't listen." He did not know that that was Adam Montgomery and Harmony until he went to the door and spoke to Kayla. He does not testify to that here. Ed, did you hear him testify to that? You're muted, Ed. You're muted.
He said, when I pulled up, I recognized the man I know to be Adam Montgomery.
Correct.
That's what he said. You can play it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to play it back right now. Heather, you heard what we heard, right?
I heard the same thing.
77 Guilford Street or Guilford Ave.
Tell us about that trip out to the 77 Guilford Street or Ave.
So I drove to the location, and as I pulled up, the location, I noticed a person who I recognized as Adam Montgomery getting into a car.
And let me stop you there.
Yes.
Yes.
They have a short sidebar here.
So, Mr. Soros, I'm going to show you what's been admitted and previously published. It's as State's Exhibit 101.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize the individual that's depicted there?
I do. That's Adam Montgomery.
So when you said that you recognized the individual getting into a car, I believe,
Yes,
that was this Adam Montgomery?
it was.
Was anyone else present?
We're playing this, ladies and gentlemen, because we did a full series on the failures of DCYF in the state of New Hampshire. And I'm playing this because we need to, it was such a small part of the trial. It happened quick like this. I feel so strongly that DCYF had a lot to do with what happened to Harmony Montgomery, because if this failsafe was in place and operating properly, she would have been taken that day, because she probably would have had black eyes all over her.
Exactly. And he got an anonymous complaint, which we later found out was from the uncle, who listed the name of Adam Montgomery and the child's name and the address. All the information was there. And he's in the system. All right. Because he's in the system.
Got a picture of him.
Right. So he goes there. He's in his car. He sees Adam coming out with the child and getting into a car and takes no action.
Zero.
He doesn't try to stop him. He doesn't try to. He doesn't try to drive up to the car and have a chat with him. He doesn't follow the car and call police to stop the car to check that child. He lets the car drive over.
Let's ask Heather. Let's ask Heather what she would have done. And it's easy to Monday morning quarterback and do this after the fact, but presenting that same type of situation, I'm going to ask you because you were an investigator. You did this for a living.
What, right, Heather? Before you answer, Heather, we have this in the police department. We're held responsible for our actions, and what we're held responsible to is to the reasonable police officer standard. So in your case, it will be the reasonable child safety officer standard. Okay, you're a child safety investigator. Would you do what he did?
Negative. Okay, you cannot ensure that a child is safe if you don't lay eyes on the child. And if a child is able to be interviewed and you don't take the opportunity to interview him without the perpetrator present, how can you ensure the child is safe? Period.
That's right. He could, I mean, minimum, he could have followed the car and called 911, tell him, identify who he is, have the police pull the car over to check the child. He just let it drive off, and then he goes to the house looking for him when he knows he just left.
If you see something, say something. And it's very simple, and we say it all the time. He didn't do anything. Let's listen to the rest of this.
So, Mr. Soros, I'm going to show you what's been admitted and previously published. It's as State's Exhibit 101.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize the individual that's depicted there?
I do. That's Adam Montgomery.
So when you said that you recognized the individual getting into a car, I believe?
Yes.
That was this Adam Montgomery?
It was.
Oh God!
How do you sleep?
Was anyone else present with him as he was getting into that vehicle?
There was a young girl, small girl.
That interaction, your observation of the defendant Adam Montgomery and the small girl who was with him, how long was that?
Not very long. Basically, as I was pulling up and getting ready to park, they were getting into the vehicle, and I can't remember exactly how far away I was, 30, 40 feet or so, when I was parking my car, and I observed them getting into the vehicle.
So you're parking your vehicle. Were you outside of your vehicle when you saw him, or were you still inside your vehicle?
I was still inside my vehicle.
And this young girl that you saw with the defendant, what was she doing?
Nothing really in particular, just, getting into the vehicle, her father helping her into the vehicle. Excuse me. I didn't know if it was her father at the time. The person, Adam, helping her into the vehicle.
Is anybody else's blood boiling?
Ed.
Yes.
You said in the green room, I got to change this. I'm not used to this. You said in the green room before we went live that this former DCYF worker has the blood of Harmony Montgomery on his hands. And I don't hear you say that often.
No, he does. He absolutely does. And now that I know that he's on the job for 10 years, I'd be pulling all of his cases and reviewing every one of his prior cases to see what he did in those cases and what's the status of these children that he was supposed to be protecting.
Okay, I'm going to say something that's going to probably make your blood boil more. So when I spoke to Kathy, she said we were discussing the fact that he didn't pursue trying to see the child. And I was, saying I thought that was pretty ridiculous. And she said, technically, he put eyes on the child, which I know for where I'm from. Yes, that is technical, but you don't put eyes on a child when you have, you don't just put eyes on a child and leave.
So Kathy
but
is
technically, Kathy said that
Kathy is
that is
former,
something that.
Right. She's our former DCYF state of New Hampshire social worker, right? Was she, am I saying that right? I don't like to get the titles wrong.
Yes.
So she worked in that same, in the same department as this guy, maybe didn't do the same things he did, but she's saying that's all they needed to do.
She was saying that does happen. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's total bullshit. Okay. You're supposed to see if that child has a black eye. That's the allegation, right? That she was beaten. How are you going to say that?
Yeah.
I'd love to see the report. I'd love to see his report, what he wrote.
Right.
Okay.
Look, there's almost 2,000 people in the chat, and look at what Merds_70 said. That's the bare minimum, right? I mean, you got to sometimes go a little step further. What were you going to say, Heather? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, the thing that is concerning is that if you don't put eyes on a child, you don't have a conversation with a child, and that time from the time he saw her to the time he actually really legit saw her, she had a little tiny mark, but you leave time for the perpetrator to further hurt the child, to continue to brainwash the child, to disappear with the child. So many possibilities that a tighter investigation was needed.
Right. And the injury healed over the time, from the time he tried to initiate contact, which I didn't think he tried anything, until the time he finally did initiate.
7 days later, he saw a small little red. Let's listen to the rest of this. To let our blood boil even further, we're going to listen to the rest of this, because he goes on to say, I finally made contact with Harmony, and she's got just a little dot. He called it a dot, a little red dot on her eye. We'll be right back. Hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon, hashtag Heather with your questions. If you're not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing and also hitting the thumbs up, because that helps the algorithm. Hit the thumbs up button while you're here, folks. Share this video out onto your social media platform and let us know in the chat, the live chat, because we love the live interactive chat. You guys are the heartbeat of Crimetime with DutyRon. Do you think that this DCYF former worker was negligent? Put a 1 if you think he's negligent. Put a 2 if you think he did his job. I don't think that we should see any number 2s, but I'm not trying to sway the chat. So go. Here we go, folks.
Specifically with respect to that small female that you saw, how long were you able to observe her for before she got into the vehicle?
Maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
10 seconds.
Not a long period of time.
And this was from 30 to 40 feet away?
Correct.
Oh my God. I want to back up for just a moment. The child that you were going to see, it was a female, is that right?
Yes.
How long, sorry, let me strike that. Were you able to clearly see the child when you were in your car there?
I guess as clearly as I could from that distance.
Did you observe anything about the child other than her gender?
No, just it literally just looked like a small child, a female getting into a car with someone.
How long were they parked there for before they drove away?
Not long. She got into the car. He then got into the car, and they drove away.
And you said the distance already, but was this on a public road, or were they in a driveway or something else?
Public road. They were parked on the side of the road in front of the house that I was going to.
During that home visit, did you interact with a child named Harmony Montgomery?
No.
Why not?
Aside from seeing her at that home visit, because she had left. She was the little girl that got into the car.
Is that something that you learned that day or at a later time?
That day.
While you were at the home attempting to make contact with Harmony, was there anything that drew your attention away as you were approaching the home?
Anything that drew my attention away?
Yes.
Nothing in particular.
Do you recall?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you recall noting that there was a loud dog that was barking at you?
Yes. There was a loud dog, a large dog barking at me from the property.
And was that before or after the defendant drove away with this young female?
I believe it was after. It was after they left. I approached the property.
So you were unsuccessful in seeing Harmony Montgomery that day?
Correct.
Did you attempt to follow up with the defendant?
I did.
Tell us about those attempts.
That was initiating a phone call and speaking with Adam and trying to arrange a home visit in which I could actually come and see and speak with Harmony.
When were those attempts? You mentioned a phone call. When was that phone call?
I think I would have to look at my notes to refresh my memory, but I believe it was later that day that I spoke with Adam on the phone.
So he gives him his notes, and now he's looking through the notes.
I did.
Did you speak to the defendant on August 1st?
I did.
What, if anything, did he tell you about Harmony's condition?
I would have to, again, look at my notes for details.
Please do. And just look up when your memory's been refreshed.
So now he knew he was testifying. You telling me he wasn't prepped for this?
Apparently
Not
not.
the same thing.
Do you recall what, if anything, the defendant told you about Harmony's condition when you spoke to him on August 1st?
The contact I just reviewed, I was speaking to him about setting up a home visit and that he had one of his children was not feeling well and he needed to take him to be seen.
And
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we would not be able to have a home visit and it would have to be rescheduled.
And during that conversation, did he also tell you that he believed that Harmony had the same illness as his other child?
That I don't remember. I don't recall.
Do you think that that reviewing your notes would refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Please do.
You know, there's a thing called trial prep, folks. You sit down with the prosecutor before you go and testify, and the prosecutor gives you all the questions that they're going to ask you. They don't tell you what to answer, but he knew these questions in advance.
He just wasn't prepared because he didn't give a shit.
Oh, hell no.
Mr. Soros, is your memory refreshed?
Yes. And Adam did say that he believed Harmony now had the same illness or condition that his other child had.
That again was on August 1st.
Yes.
So 2 days after you went out?
Correct.
So what was he saying? COVID?
During your
I think it was I don't think it was COVID. I think it was some kind of some type of virus or whatever. I don't know if Heather's got it written down, but he goes on here I think there's a little bit more. I think he kind of like just goes right over this. But I want to get to the point where he gets to see Harmony and he talks about the little red spot on her I believe he says right eye.
Response, did you have a face-to-face with Harmony Montgomery?
Here we go.
Could you ask me that again? I'm sorry.
At any point during your response, did you have a face-to-face interaction with Harmony Montgomery?
My response as far as my following up with the report.
Correct.
I did.
When was that?
I believe it was about a week later. The exact date, I don't remember.
Do you think that reviewing your report would refresh your recollection with respect to the date?
Yes.
Can you please do so?
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Was that appropriate? I think.
Definitely.
Yes, it was August 7th, approximately a week later.
What, if anything, did you observe about Harmony's physical appearance when you saw her on August 7th?
Overall, excuse me. Overall, she seemed.
So let me strike that question.
Yes.
Specifically, did you notice any markings or injury to her face?
I did notice a small red mark under one of her eyes and some redness with discoloration in the eye that was closest to that.
Did the defendant tell you anything regarding how that injury occurred?
He did. He said that he had bought the kids, he had 2 younger children, he bought the kids like foam swords or lightsabers, and that they were playing with them, and that Harmony was struck in the face, in the eye, and that's how she got that mark.
So, Mr. Soros, I want to switch gears and I want to discuss January of 2020. On January 8th of 2020, did you make contact with the defendant?
I believe so. I would like to review my contacts, please.
He seemed
Sorry,
completely. He seemed
Could you
completely.
speak a little more loudly?
He seemed completely taken back by that, and it looked like he was completely surprised that question was being asked.
Leaving a report then, and I don't remember the exact date and whether I made contact or not.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at your report?
Yes.
Like I said, if he was prepped properly,
Go ahead, Ed.
if he was prepped properly by the prosecutor, these questions were already told to him. I'm going to ask you these questions, okay? And sometimes the prosecutors even write out a list of questions and give it to you to read so that you know and prepare yourself for the questions they're going to ask. Now, as I said earlier, a prosecutor can't tell you how to answer or what to say, but that's part of trial prep before they put you on the stand. They're going to tell you, here, these are the questions I'm going to ask you.
Right after this, we're going to get into some sticky stuff, really difficult stuff to hear. We're going to talk about Kayla Montgomery's testimony. And for those of you who suffer from maybe PTSD or any type of sensitive conversation, we're going to be talking about her testimony from today. And we're going to try to condense it, so we're not going to drag this thing out for 2 hours. But I just wanted to put that trigger warning out there if anybody's, sensitive to the stuff. And if you listen to it today, this might be a little bit redundant, but we're just going to go over just some of the more, from the stronger points of what she testified to. So let's finish this. And Heather, do you have time? I mean, are you pressed for time, or can you hang out with us?
I'm hanging out for a little bit longer.
Okay. All right. So let me just finish this and we'll be right back.
Did I contact them?
Yes.
Oh, phone.
You spoke to him on the phone?
Yes.
And what, if anything, during that conversation did he say about Harmony Montgomery?
I believe it was that conversation. I would have to check my notes to make sure, because I can't remember if it was that conversation or later when meeting with him that he had told me that Harmony was now living with her biological mother.
That was the lie.
Yeah. And did you follow up?
Specifics of what he said about how she came to be with her biological mother.
He had said that she was having visits with her mother, and again, I'd have to probably look at my notes again, but I believe due to their unstable housing situation that Harmony ended up staying with her mom.
But as we all,
And what's your highest level?
God, I just messed up the whole thing. But as we know from that, Heather, and I know you could talk on this because I know you got to go, but he should have had knowledge that there's no way that she could have been legally back with the mom, because the biological mom lost custody of Harmony.
And there should have been some follow-up, because when the child came from Massachusetts to New Hampshire, there should have been services that were implemented. The one issue, I don't know if this affected it, but I was reading some details on what Massachusetts has done differently since this case. And one of the big issues was that because she went to New Hampshire without the ICPC or the interstate compact being completed, she may not have had services, but he could have still followed up and said, okay, what is mom's phone number? What is mom's address? What kind of services were involved? Like, I can't remember if Massachusetts and New Hampshire had actually communicated, or if it was just the judge ordered her to go to New Hampshire without a home study, and that's what happened without services.
Mhm.
Yeah, but still, again, he should have followed up. There's no way you
100%.
close the case out like that without verifying the truthfulness of the statement that you were just told. Okay, you
And
could.
I was reading in their policy last night and today. I was reading so that I could better understand New Hampshire's policies. And in their policies, it says if they get an investigation and there's a child that's supposed to be in the home that is not, they're supposed to locate that child.
There you go. There you go. I mean, it's just sloppy. It's disgusting. He does have blood on his hands. And like I said, he's got 10 years under his belt in that agency. I'd be looking at all of his cases and making sure all of those cases, the kids that he was involved in are okay.
And oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just the thing that I want to say is that I know there's a lot of hate for social services for investigations, but I know as a former investigator that I and also Kathy, and I know a lot of other people who dedicate their life to it, even though I'm out of working in investigations, I still am volunteering in child welfare. And when you love children and you're passionate about it, you make for a good employee. And so even though I think there's a lot of shoddy work here, I also want to say that, you know, it's just like with law enforcement, with teachers, there's always a bad apple. And unfortunately, the bad apple or unfortunately, when there's somebody who doesn't do their job and then something terrible happens, it appears that everyone is bad. And there's really a lot of good, I mean, I still know a lot of really good workers who, you know, I as an investigator, and I know Kathy did this kind of stuff, you know, pulling up to a house and just kind of watching, see what's going on, sitting in a house for a couple hours and watching the interaction. So there's a lot of good work that happens. But I also think when something bad happens, that we, the people, as well as, you know, the system of care needs to look and say, okay, how can we do better so that there isn't another Harmony?
Yeah, I know you guys are overworked and understaffed and underpaid. We had our own scandal here in New York City, and then what New York City did in response to it is they hired a bunch of retired New York City detectives, gave them waivers from their pensions, and allowed them to come back and work as investigators here to supplement the investigators with some more experienced investigators. But that said, this seems to be something systemic throughout the nation.
Right.
Okay, it's not just New Hampshire. It's not just, you know, New York or Florida. This seems to be happening all over the nation, and it requires, you know, I think it requires congressional hearings and to figure out what the hell is going on with these systems and how we can better fund them, how we can get better results out of our tax dollars for this necessary, highly necessary field.
Absolutely. And it is nationwide. It's a nationwide failure of the system. We saw it in Bakersfield, California with our boys, you know, Searing Classic. We see it here with Harmony Montgomery. We see it down in Tennessee with Summer Wells. I could just go on and on. Gannon Stout. There's just so many hiccups and so many bad things that happen within the system. Yes, it's a lot of ground to cover. And like you said, Heather, there are really good workers that are out there, investigators that'll go the extra mile. But always, just like in law enforcement, just like in any profession, when you have those bad apples or people that slack, it's a black eye for all of us. It makes us look not good. So I get what you're saying. I want to thank you for being here for, you know, over an hour with us. Your input is just so vital to this. And I feel that when this trial is over, there still needs to be a conversation about what they did in New Hampshire to take the steps to correct this problem, to try to put some type of fail safes in place. So this Harmony Montgomerys don't slip through the cracks and don't continue to be murdered at the hands of their own flesh and blood. They're the very people who brought her into this world, took her out. So very sad. Any final words for the audience? I know you just said a nice, good piece there, but anything else that you know, maybe a takeaway from this testimony or from this case at all?
I mean, overall, I just think that I've watched almost everything. I didn't finish the little bit end of Kayla's, but just watching that employee, that worker, just wasn't very prepared. You know, it just like I think Ed was saying, I've never testified in criminal court so far, but I've testified many times in court, and I mean, the cases I testified on, you could probably say the name of the case and I could give you details. I can tell you dates of when I had to remove kids, or dates when we went to the doctor's office, or dates when I arrived. And so it just, that wasn't a good look.
It's tough. And like you said to me on the phone when we talked today, you said, most of the investigators that go out, CPS, DCYF, whatever whatever the acronyms are for their particular agencies, they're parents, mothers, fathers, and most of the time they have their hearts in it. But sometimes supervisors and procedures keep them and hold them back from doing the things that I want to do. Like I can recall having a day of going to 3 separate agencies in 3 separate states to pick up inmates and bring them back in the trip team when I was in New York City Police Department. And I had our supervisors telling us, you got to do this in a certain amount of time. You can't make more than 8 hours of overtime. And we were rushing around and cutting corners and doing things that were making it unsafe for us and for the general public, like in traffic, going on to the shoulder and putting our lights and sirens on, things that you don't need to do unless it's a real emergency. But we had to do that because of these time constraints and overtime and so forth. So we could go on and on about this, but Heather, thank you so much for being here. Ed and I appreciate your
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, your experience, your knowledge. And I know that everybody here in the chat appreciates you. Leave Heather a message down in the comment section. I know that she'll go and look at the comment section.
I've seen a lot of really last time I didn't watch the comments because I was like a little nervous, but I've seen a lot of positive comments, and it's like, yep. And I'm going to keep doing the right thing and doing the best thing for the kids that I serve. So
thank you.
Never go weary of doing what is right.
Yep. Agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good night. Ed and I are going to take this to the next segment. So we'll speak to you soon. Thank you, Heather.
Okay.
Thank you, Heather.
All right. Ed, we're at the hour and 7-minute mark. Let's try to condense this. Kayla Montgomery, as we see here on the screen, testified all day. She testified mainly for the prosecution, but the last 30 or so minutes were cross-examination by the defense. She talked about all of the movement of Harmony Montgomery's remains over a 2 to 3 month period. I just want you to get into maybe some of the hurdles that they went through with moving this body and trying to not have this smell from the decomposition detected by the various places that they were at. And we come to find out today that the cat was out of the bag at the shelter that they were in because people complained about the smell. The restaurant, people were all asking why he kept bringing that bag in and out.
Well, that was the first time though about the restaurant that she brought the bag once, right? He asked her to deliver Harmony in that bag to the restaurant, and then he put her in the refrigerator, the freezer, and then I guess from that point on, he would bring the body back and forth.
Let's take a little listen to some of her testimony here. And again, this is a trigger warning. It is difficult at best. It's very, very tough. AH is saying 1,000% correct, DutyRon. Management always ruins the good work that the grunts are trying to do out there. She knows because she worked in warrants with me. I want to put myself back on.
She's also a sergeant, right? Because like I remember being on patrol, and our protocols were if we got to a domestic or anything like that, and we had to pull the kids and give them the child services, we had to get the sergeant's authority. The sergeant would have to be called out to the scene, and the sergeant would say, "Okay, you got it. Take the kids."
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She worked in my office, and she knows exactly what that story I just told about being in 3 different agencies, 3 different states, and then being told you have to hurry up and get this done. So now we're, cutting corners and making a dangerous situation for us and for the prisoner, for the public. So anyways, let's
wait. Hold on 1 second. I was waiting for somebody to do it, but guess who did it? Our sergeant did it. She knew I just quoted the Bible, and she went and she pulled up chapter and verse.
There you go.
Amen to you. Good work, Sarge.
I love it. I love her. All right, here we go. Kayla Montgomery, trigger warning.
With Travis Beach.
I don't know who reached out to who, but I knew it was about selling a gun.
And initials?
Yes.
Did you circle this item?
Yes.
Why'd you do that?
To let it be known that that's the item that was similar to the one that he had.
Your Honor, I move to strike ID and Marcus Bull and publish State's Exhibit 62.
Any objection? No, Your Honor. If the ID is stricken, it's entered as a full exhibit and it may be published.
Ron, stop it here for a second.
Yeah, I know what you want to talk about.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've been following the Triconas case. I've been following this case. How our courts are so different in every state. Here, the judge tells the people to rise. The court clerk doesn't tell the court to rise when the judge enters. The judge gets on the bench and tells everybody to rise for the jury. The court clerk doesn't do it. Here, the assistant district attorneys swear in the witnesses, not the court clerk. I've never seen that either. Now, when I was on the stand and they wanted me to identify something, like a photograph or something that I took, so they would present the photograph to me and they said, "Do you recognize this photo? Is this a fair and accurate depiction of the blah, 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 blah?"
Yeah.
They don't move it into ID and then strike it from the court record and then put it in as evidence. We just go right from there into evidence.
Yeah.
And then we can present it to the jury.
Let us know in the chat and let us know in the comments what they do in your state. But in New York and in the, like kind of tri-state, I know New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut and Pennsylvania, they all don't do it like that because I've been in all those courts. So I know for a fact that they don't do it like this. But let's listen to a little bit of this. And again, trigger warning, this might be a little difficult to listen to. We're only going to play a little bit.
And put her in the duffel bag.
You mentioned this duffel bag from the trunk.
Yeah.
Had you seen that duffel bag before, Kayla? What was it used for?
When we got kicked out of the house, we put clothes in there for everybody. And it was in the trunk of the car.
Did you see him put Harmony in that duffel bag?
Yes.
How did he put her in there, Kayla?
He folded her in half and put her in the duffel bag.
She said he folded her in half and put her in the duffel bag.
Did he call 911 at any point?
No.
Did you?
No.
And when you saw him put her in that duffel bag, did you attempt to get away, to run?
No.
Why not?
They had the 2 other kids and I was scared.
She said she was scared for the other kids and she was scared.
Right, she had the 2 other kids and she was scared.
Yeah.
Scared of?
That something would happen to me or Adam and the kids.
You said you saw him put her in that duffel bag, fold her up and put her in there.
Yes.
What did her face look like when you saw her go into that bag?
It was all black and blue, and her face was puffy. Her eyes were puffy.
Did he say anything to you after he put her in that duffel bag?
I don't remember.
What did you do after he put her in the duffel bag?
We took the kids and we walked back to Colonial Village.
What did you do once you arrived at Colonial Village?
Put the bag in the snowbank so Anthony wouldn't see it.
She said she put her in the bag in the snowbank so nobody would see it.
Who wouldn't see it, Kayla?
Anthony.
That's Anthony Badero.
Yes.
Where was the snowbank that you put? And sorry, let me clarify. Who put her in the snowbank?
Adam.
Where was that snowbank that he put her in?
In the embankment from the parking lot.
What was around that snow embankment?
A dumpster. And cars and snow.
And you said he put it in there so that Anthony Badero wouldn't see.
Yeah.
What did the defendant do after he put that duffel bag in the snowbank?
Left her there.
Okay, I'm going to ask everybody, Ed, put a 1 in the chat if you feel Kayla Montgomery is a credible witness. Put a 2 if you do not believe her story and that she's just creating the story to save her butt. So a 1 if you believe her, 2 if she's just creating the story. Just remember before you vote, the things that she's talking about, Ed, you could take it from here. Evidence backs up what she's saying.
Well, some evidence, right? I mean, we have the evidence of the body being stored in the ceiling, in between the ceiling and the shelter. The black eye, yeah, that's been established through multiple witnesses, including the uncle and then her. So some of the evidence is some of what she's testifying to is corroborated.
So remember, Ed, we still haven't heard from the evidence that was recovered at the Union Street search warrant.
Right.
Took out tile, carpeting, and all.
Right. That's all to come. Right. That's all to come. And that's based upon her giving up this information.
They would have never gone to these locations had she not given them up. Right. So we have to look at this through the full lens of, yes, she's being obviously saving herself and being selfish. If she didn't get this opportunity to get herself out of being charged with murder or conspiracy to commit murder, I don't know if she would have ever opened her mouth up. So
well, again, if she gets caught committing perjury here,
they're
going to throw the book at her. All the charges that were waived, all right, for her deal are going to land on her like a ton of bricks. Right. And she's going to do some serious time.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw someone put in the chat that she, after this happened with Harmony Montgomery, that she went on to get pregnant by Adam Montgomery. I don't know if that's true. I'm not saying that it's not true. I just never verified that, but somebody in the chat put that. And if that's the case, I mean, you know, she still was with him she admits it here that she stayed with him because she was in fear for her life and the life of her kids as well. But yeah, she goes on to say in her testimony, Ed, that Adam Montgomery told her he considered processing Harmony Montgomery's remains through a NutriBullet.
Yeah, after he cut her up with a saw, he was going to put her into a NutriBullet, which is a blender, but it wouldn't have the power or it's very small to begin with. They wouldn't have the power or the capacity to do that.
Right. But the thing of it is that we still do not know where her remains are, what he did with her body parts or her full remains. We still don't know. We heard,
but he does.
Yeah, he definitely does, and I have a feeling that she does too. But that's just my opinion.
She testified that she does not know, and if they catch her in that lie, she's going back to jail for a very long time.
She sets up the groundwork to say that she doesn't know what he did with the remains, because remember at the end she says he was checking the light switches, he was checking for cameras, he was checking, and then she had that opportunity and she got away. So
he also beat her.
Right, he beat her. She got away.
But at the time that he deposited the body, they were in a hotel, and they had a room there with their friends having a room nearby. And then the friend used her credit card and her driver's license to rent a truck.
Right.
And he went off in the nighttime to dispose of Harmony's body parts. I mean, and then she says he came back just before sunrise. So, and she says she swore she doesn't know where Harmony is.
I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see what the chat thinks of that. If you think that Kayla Montgomery knows where Harmony's remains are, press a 1 in the chat. If you feel that she doesn't know and you believe her, put a 2. I'd like to see. I always like to look at these after the live is over to see what everybody votes. It's actually better than actually putting up a poll. But so thank you to everyone who participates in this. And if you're not yet subscribed, please consider giving us this thumbs up and subscribing here, Ed, right?
Yeah.
We appreciate the support.
Absolutely. Here's another thing. Who thinks she's lucky to be alive?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's a loose end to this psycho Adam. Right.
And I'm not so sure, Ed, how she could be released to society and not be a danger, because somebody who uses this type of judgment, and again, she was battered woman syndrome. I get it. Adam was, he is a demon. This guy's evil. He's violent. He shot somebody in the face. He shot somebody in the leg. He stabbed, he's got 20 arrests that he got caught. Think about all the other crimes he committed that he never got caught for. Mm-hmm. So I just don't know if this woman, I would be comfortable with her in my neighborhood or anybody's neighborhood for that matter. Let us know what you think in the comments. Go ahead.
I know she wants out. She wants control of those kids again, but I don't think she should have them.
Never. Do you think Kayla Montgomery, here's another question. Do you think Kayla Montgomery should ever have control or command over any children? Forget about even her own, anybody's children. Should she be around nieces, nephews? Could she get out and apply for a job for a babysitter? Who knows? Nobody's going to keep track of her. That's the thing. Everybody thinks, oh, she's going to be in the witness protection program, and they're going to, the government is going to protect her, and they're going to watch all her moves. That's bullshit. That's not going to happen. So if she gets out and she's in society, say 20 years from now, 20 years from today, and she's out there, nobody's going to be watching what she's doing. There's going to be look at what we saw with DCYF. Ed?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, not at all.
So this savage is going to be out running free amongst society with that mindset. I don't call me whatever you want to call me. It's a no bueno for me. She is no good.
He used the bunk bed and climbed up in the ceiling.
So I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 28 for identification.
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
That's the cooler.
Yes.
What is it?
That is the cooler that was on the porch in my mom's hallway.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the cooler?
Yes.
That's what it looked like?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I move to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 28.
Right, the ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit. Yes, you may.
There's that red cooler.
Yeah. I can't believe that was just sitting in the hall.
People walking by it, little kids going by it, all the residents unbeknownst.
Anybody could open that up.
Adam pushed it in the cooler so it would fit.
Is that something you saw him do?
Yes.
Were there any noises when he did that?
Not that I remember.
How long was she stored in that cooler for?
For a couple weeks.
And how long did you stay with your mother for? How long were you with Christina Lubin?
For a couple weeks.
And Ed, we heard her mother when we covered this, right? We heard her mom say that they stayed here with us, for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy. The whole thing is just insanity, and there's so much more for us to hear. The Court TV did an interview with Blair Miller. That is the DC news reporter who has Harmony Montgomery's brother, Jameson. He adopted Jameson, and he did an interview on Court TV tonight, which I was surprised to see him on there. But the reporter did a great job of asking him what went wrong. Like, why couldn't you get
guest? I'm so pleased.
So I want to just play this really quick, and then we'll wrap it up, Ed. So here's Court TV from tonight. Blair Miller, who again he has custody of Harmony Montgomery's brother.
To call him my friend, my colleague, Blair Miller. Blair, thank you for being here in the studio with us. And I know this time isn't easy, and I truly can't say enough wonderful things about you personally and professionally. And our viewing audience has come to somewhat hear about your story. You've been on with us before, but I want to make this crystal clear that you and your husband, Jonathan, were willing to adopt Harmony along with her brother, Jameson, who you have adopted. What happened with Harmony? Why weren't you able to, Blair?
So when we went through the adoption process with Jameson, our third and youngest son, we instantly heard that he had a sister. And one of our first questions was, what's that situation? What are we looking at adopting 2 more children here? Or what's the situation? We were instantly told that he did have a sister. And we were told by him he had a sister. And they were very close. They were in foster care together, in and out of foster homes. And we were immediately told by the state of Massachusetts that Harmony had, that situation had already been taken care of. She had been reunified with her father, who is a different father than what Jameson has, biologically. And so we were told that was not an option. We continued to ask, what's that situation? Because it's important to Jameson. It was important to him. And so therefore it was important to us. And
that was the first time I saw the picture of them two together. But he goes on to say a little bit more here.
We had always said, if that door is open, we want to walk through it and figure out what's going on. Of course, now we hear everything. It's painful to hear it.
Oh, Blair, I can't even imagine. I've been saying the heartbreak, I'm sure your husband, Jonathan, feels, your boys, you and Jonathan, I say they're like angels on earth. They really are. They've adopted 3 beautiful little boys, all from different families. Jameson is the youngest. I mean, you have saved Jameson's life. And I think what is so tragic about this, you and Jonathan wanted to save Harmony's too, had it not been for Adam Montgomery asserting his parental rights.
Sure, and the timing here was, pretty unique because Harmony had already been reunified with her father back in February. And we adopted Jameson officially in August of that same year. And we look at the timeline of everything. When we officially did his adoption in court, And then his birthday was right after that. It was all around Thanksgiving, when now we know what was happening to Sweet Harmony. And it is so very painful to know that we were celebrating Jameson's 3rd birthday the same weekend that she was killed in the backseat of that car.
He's getting upset.
And that is a tough reality.
So I just wanted to play that because that also too, another misstep. Harmony was given, the custody was given back to Adam by Massachusetts. And Massachusetts, as we know, failed to look at his criminal history and look at what his background was. Because had that judge looked at that criminal history, and this is where I don't want to let it go. I won't let this go. This is where the whole system failed, is that exchange of giving him custody of Harmony is what that's what killed her. And that judge should be held accountable. What do you think, Ed?
100%. 100%. You know, how do you not have a criminal history report about this person?
And
how
then,
does
communicate with New Hampshire that he has custody of this kid?
Yeah. And what about drug testing before he's given the kid, right?
He's a heroin user, full-blown heroin user.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has Harmony in his custody.
What about employment? How was he, you know, they're living out of a car, they're living out of shelters.
Yeah.
Okay. They got kicked out of a house because they weren't paying the mortgage.
Yeah. Let's go to the comments real quick. I want to just look at the super chats because there was a bunch of them that came in. Stacy B sends in a $5 super chat and she says, I don't think he told her exactly where, but Kayla probably knows where he would go or where he would, but some of his hiding spots. Maybe. We don't know. Holly Hunt, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. And Renee, thank you for the $2 super chat. She said, evil is born in hell. Rarely have angels as witnesses. Evil is born in hell. Rarely have angels as witnesses. Thank you for that super chat. DB sends $10 and says, question mark. Don't decomposing human bodies carry potential diseases? Ed, I'll let you take that.
Yeah, there could be some issues depending on what bacteria, fungus, and so forth are present there, and if there are any currently bugs in the system of the individual that dies, say like tuberculosis or you know, other diseases like that. You know, something popped into my head real quick. You know, it's going to come up down the road because when he took that rental truck, he went through several tolls without an easy pass. And that truck got violations for going through it, and they captured the license plate, date, and time of the movement of that truck. Hopefully, more of that will come out.
Yeah, it did come out a little bit in court. I saw some testimony about it. Prosecution brought it up, and during one of his friends' testimonies. Curious Irish Angel sends in $5 and she says, "Thank you, DutyRon and Ed, for all you do." Sending positive vibes from the Windy City. Justice for Harmony. Amen. Curious Irish Angel, I saw you in the chats today, and thank you for always supporting. Monique, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Always great to see you, Monique. Preciado, thank you for being here. Hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon. Animal Advocate is always in the chat, and she's always coming straightforward with good valid information. Thank you, Animal Advocate, for being here. I think we got everything, Ed. Joey Brooklyn's always in the chat. Hey, Ed, I think
Joey B.
Yeah, we have to congratulate and thank Joey B. His birthday's coming up on the 12th, so happy birthday almost, Joey Brooklyn. You're only 29 once, so good to see you, brother. And thank you.
Does that make him a Pisces? What do you say, Joe? Is that I'm not familiar with all the zodiac information there.
He's the 12th, so I don't know. I'm not up to date on that either. Let's see. Tiffany Knox, always present. She says some idiot judge gave her to him. Judge is retired, apparently. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and you know, I think his name Newman.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
With all due respect. You can say stuff like that as long as you say it with all due respect. Let's see. Sarge is saying, great to see all of the support here. Appreciate how you all support DutyRon and Ed and the work that they do for the victims and you, the supporters. Yeah, we love our community. It's great here. What do you see, Ed? I always can tell when you're looking at the chat.
No, I see people talking about Pisces and so forth.
Okay. So no questions. I wanted to see if there was anything coming in. Karen, legal minded friend, saying happy birthday, and she's got a great YouTube channel. Everyone should go check her out. All right, guys, I think we're going to end this. Listen, there's so much more, but this is what it's about. Harmony Montgomery, and this picture here is from Blair Miller's Twitter account. This is a picture of her younger sibling, Jameson. Such a sad case, and we're going to continue to follow it. Ed, we have a break in the action in the Michelle Triconas trial, but it'll pick back up on Tuesday, right? So,
right, it'll pick up on Tuesday, but we do have some coverage that we need to go over that happened this week, and
week 3.
And, right. So Monday, they're taking the holiday off for Lincoln's birthday. Unlike this case, I believe this case is going to be in court on Monday, but the Triconas case is shut down for Lincoln's birthday. And on Tuesday, I'll be winging my way to the next assignment in an undisclosed location within the continental U.S.
Will you have your YouTube gear with you, ready to go live?
Always.
At a moment's notice. That's part of your equipment now, right, Ed?
Yeah, it's why I always check 2 bags now when I fly. One bag is the YouTube studio, and the rest of my clothes and medications.
That's dedication right there, Ed. We appreciate it. Hey, Katina's here, Lisa Stewart, Sean B, and lots of great friends. Kelly B, 750. I want to just acknowledge folks. Such great people here. Hey, I wanted to also say something. Our good friend and moderator, she hasn't been around in a while, Miss Donna Marie. She is going through a tough time health-wise. I want everyone in the chat here, there's close to 2,000 people here, to send some prayers to Miss Donna Marie. She's having a real hard time, and she's on the mend, but she's struggling with some health issues. She doesn't want to get into it, but she asked for some prayers. And if you guys can, please send some strength and positive vibes to Miss Donna Marie. She does so much wonderful stuff for myself, and she started out here. She moderates for Melanie Little, and she's always welcoming people. So, Miss Donna Marie, we're sending you a lot of strength and love. I hope you get better and back on your feet. You're a huge asset to the communities here. So, yeah, I know, Ed, you feel the same way. Hope she gets back on her feet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Schmitty is, look who's here. Schmitty, our good friend, Ed. Ed's wearing red for the Kansas City Chiefs. Is that true, Ed?
Negative, K.
Who are you going for in the Super Bowl? Super Bowl's this Sunday.
To be quite honest with you, I'm not a fan of either team. So,
all right. Well, since Schmitty's close to the Chiefs, I'm sure she's a Chiefs fan because she's in that area. Go Chiefs. Neither team is my team. The Giants aren't in it. So I just want to see a good game. I want to eat some wings. I want to have a couple of beers, and I want to just chill out. So, guys, on behalf of Crimetime with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we're sending, again, strength to the prosecution, strength to all the witnesses that are going to come forward and testify for justice for Harmony Montgomery. And that's what we're looking at here on the screen. Harmony and her brother Jameson. This is what it's about, friends. And Ed, I know you got something to say as we always end these live streams.
Hey, folks, thank you for spending your valuable time with us. Please spread the word about the DutyRon and myself, and tell your friends to come join us. As always, folks, stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six. Thanks for being here.
Amen, Ed. Thank you. And thank you for taking out the time. And we love our replay viewers. Thank you, replay viewers. Stand by for a message from our cop team. That's Kara, Ed's dog, Oscar, my dog, and Popeye. He's over here cursing. So good night from New York City. We'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.